Welcome to the Rising Consciousness Show, 20 minutes of soulful insights and powerful tools to elevate your life experience and create with higher clarity, intention, and vision. I'm Tara Antler, intuitive healer and soul coach.
And I'm King Gabriel, spiritual teacher and practitioner. And we are the co-founders of Ascension Academy of Life,
a global center for spiritual growth, intuitive healing, and soul alignment.
Get ready to blast off. Hello and welcome to Rising Consciousness Podcast.
We're so excited to be here with you. Today we are talking about standing in your power.
In your power.
Standing in your
Super
power.
Yes.
And we feel like it's a very timely conversation right now. Always it's a timely conversation right now.
Yes.
And where we are at this particular juncture within humanity and the earth, we felt like this was the best topic to bring forward for right now. Standing
now,
in your
real,
power.
For real. Yep.
So what does it mean to stand in your power?
Well, it means standing firmly and unshakably in what you believe.
Mm-hmm.
Right? In what you believe. So what is true for you? What is your truth? Now, not saying that truth would be accurate on a global or universal sense, but for your experience, what you really believe in, you're standing in firmly. You're standing unshakably.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think right now, this is where a lot of people are feeling that shaking up because maybe what they have been standing in terms of beliefs or things that they've received, information, knowledge, teachings that have been given to society and humanity is now being questioned a little bit. And so what's happening is people are feeling that internal shakeup.
Unrest.
Right?
Yes.
And so then people are questioning, well, this is what I've stood in my entire life. This is what I believed my entire life. And that doesn't resonate with me anymore.
It's bringing up insecurities in the foundations. It's like you build a building on a foundation of sand basically, and now the sand is eroding, right? And that's a lot of people's beliefs right now, because they've really come to a point where they realize some of the things, even the things that we learned in school, in biology, in chemistry, and all of these things that we did are non-factual.
Yeah.
Right?
And a lot of these things, they're losing their own foundation.
Yep.
And so what do we do when we look around us and we see the systems around us and these structures around us losing their footing and their foundation? It's like grabbing at air and trying to hold on to air, grabbing at straws and trying to hold on to them, trying to grab at weeds and losing grip.
Yep.
And I think that's what's stirring up people right now internally in terms of, well, where do I stand? What do I stand for? What is my own personal power?
Yeah.
And I think this is a really great question to start with, because in the crumbling and the letting go of the old, which is what we're actually supposed to do, we are supposed to grow, shift, evolve, elevate, look at certain things that we've maybe taken on and ask ourselves, does this align?
Yep.
Is this my truth? Does this fit me? And if it does, then great. Keep wearing it, keep choosing it, keep standing for that. But if it doesn't, if it starts to feel uncomfortable, if your own life that you're living is feeling uncomfortable, or your own way of being in the world starts feeling uncomfortable, or you start feeling this nudge inside of yourself, maybe a higher nudge, an internal nudge, saying, I don't know if this is actually true.
Yep.
I don't know if this is the way. I'm not sure about that. That is one of those whispers to listen to.
Yes, indeed. Right? Because those factitious beliefs that come up for us, right? They're not true, obviously. They're unrealistic. We look at them and we're looking at them thinking, well, yeah, this is how it's always been, so this is how it should continue to be. You know what? It hasn't always worked. So we gotta look at that, and it's time to look at that. It's getting dug up for us to have a look at. And the things that people have believed so fervently are now coming to the point where it's like, hey, you know what? You gotta really examine that belief. And that's what's happening. People are failing to examine the belief because they so want to be right.
And they want to cling to that standing in their beliefs.
Yeah, and would you rather be right, or would you rather be not here? Right? That's really what it's about right now, right? So this is the extreme of it, obviously, guys. But
but that's really what's happening.
That's what's happening, right? So you got to look at it and wonder, well, is there some sort of credibility to what's being said here? Can I look beyond just my thought process to see another thought process? And that's on both sides of the equation, guys, whatever the sides are, right? Because it would be it would behoove us in a sense to look at the information and find out if it's gonna benefit my life in some way. Is it gonna preserve, or is it gonna help those around me in some way, right? You can't be totally closed-minded. If you're totally closed-minded to any sort of change, you're actually locking yourself into a definite pattern, and that is, you know, stagnation is death. Basically, you're locking yourself down to whatever happens to that group of people. You just grouped yourself, right? Whereas if you can examine both parts, you at least have the opportunity to pick out the real information, the true information, the valuable information for yourself, and then move according to that, right? And that is freedom of thought.
And even to tune in when you're open to question, or open to explore, or open to just looking even within, a whole wave of what I would actually call truth and wisdom starts flowing in.
Yes.
And this is the juncture, this is the crossroads point that we're at right now. Do we continue to cling to our beliefs and cling to what we've been told and cling to what, we have well practiced? And there's certain things that I can look at in my life and be like, yeah, I was told that my whole life. And did that work? Has that served me? I always ask the question, is this helping me or hindering me? And there are certain beliefs that do hinder me. They keep me playing very small, and I don't enjoy that feeling at all. I like to feel free and expanded and joyful and playful out. And I love the feeling of flow and trust and expansion in general. So if I like that feeling, and this is for you to look at for yourself, where do you love to play? Where do you love to exist and be? Do you love feeling insulated, isolated, constricted? Do you like fighting for your stance? Do you like clinging to an old that may not be serving you? Or do you like to feel joy, expansion, abundance, health, trust, awesomeness? Pick any word.
Yep.
And when you can answer that question and go, yeah, I really actually enjoy being free.
Yeah.
Okay, so great. If I like being free, but I'm feeling something inside of myself, or I'm confronting something, or I keep butting my head up against something that's not freedom, let me pause for a second. Let me just pause and let me look at that. What is it that's coming up? What's that uncomfortability? Oh my gosh, my whole life I was told that this. Is that actually true? Do I want to continue to believe that? And when you start asking that type of questioning, a whole other world starts to open up to you. I remember the first time I learned about quantum physics. It was in actually high school. It opened me right up. I was like, this is awesome. Why can't we hear more about this, right? And it was such a small portion of our physics, just a small portion. Fast forward to when I was 20, the holographic universe landed in my lap. Blew open my mind. Now that was a big book to digest at 20 years old. I'll tell you for sure, it was a big book to digest. I could only read like 3 or 4 pages at a time, but it totally opened my mind to something else.
Other possibilities,
even outside of what I had learned in grade school, high school, and even university studying science, where science said, this is the way it is. This is Newtonian theory. This is blah, blah, blah. This is gravity, whatever. And then all of a sudden you have this whole other experience open up to you, and you're like, whoa, there's some other cool things going on here. And only that can happen when you're willing to look. And when you're willing to maybe not fight so hard. Yes, there's a point, we're going to talk about standing in your power, your true power. What we're talking about right now is what I would call the idle or artificial power. Where we've been given all these teachings and maybe supposed knowledge and belief systems, and this is what it's like to live a good life and be a good citizen and be a good human. Where's that gotten us?
And that's huge, because most of that information is just vicarious information. It's people looking at other people's info and taking it on as their truth. Like if they know it, they never experienced it, giving them joy, peace, any of those things, but they act like this is the way I know that. That is very, very detrimental. Right?
And dangerous.
Because, it's definitely dangerous, right? I mean, people with all these conversations and arguments that they stand in and just spewing out these spurious beliefs, and these spurious beliefs that they go into are like, they are unexamined, totally unexamined. So they're just putting that forward, and they actually believe that they're helping because they fully believe in that stuff. But at the end of the day, when you really look what's happening, if they were put in a position where they had to, like, this was life or death, right? They would fall under that as if it was true and face the consequences and still still, because of the need to be right, would continue with that on to whatever they're on. But the fact is, they would never know the truth within them. They would totally be blinded to that. And that's what happens. People get blinded to that by clinging, like Tara said, clinging to that old, as Christianity would say, the old rugged cross.
Totally.
Cling to the old rugged cross. Man,
why would you do that?
The so-called Christ is resurrected already, right? So what are you clinging to? And this is something for us to examine as a population in general. And that's where those stories, those anecdotes led us to thinking like this. Man, the whole purpose of that thing, if we go to any type of religion or anything, is just that if you cling to the past, if you cling to the death, if you cling to the resurrection, to the crucifixion and all that stuff that people are clinging to, you're clinging to darkness. You're clinging to death. You're clinging to finality. You're clinging to those ideas and concepts. And when you can move yourself out of that to, let's say, the resurrection, the rising, the fact that you have joy, love, peace, happiness, all these wonderful things within you, you're actually letting yourself awaken to what life really is. That's an opportunity and a different perspective on life. So sometimes these things keep us trapped, and we have to be able to examine them to continue to move forward.
And there's a lot of what we call false idols. There's a lot of false gods or false idols that exist in the world right now. And a really easy way to spot them is if somebody's outright telling you, go do this because we think it's good for you, do this because I did it, that type of mentality. And you kind of look at it and you go, what? Or there's so much of it.
Where there is coercion, like Tara's saying, coercion.
Exactly. I couldn't think of the word. I was like, what's the word?
Where there is coercion, there is fear.
Yeah.
Right? And someone is trying to induce you to take some sort of action through fear. So once you spot a dangling carrot,
there's lots
or you
of those
spot
right now.
anything like that, you know that behind that is fear. Any fearful path you take leads to the thing that you fear the most. Always, it really does lead to the thing that you fear the most, right? In this case,
and it's false power. It's false power, right? Because it's like, if you do this, is the dangling carrot. Like, I'm holding up a carrot in my hand right now. It's like, if you do this, if you take this, if you act this way, then you will get this, right?
Exactly.
That is a false power. That's saying, if you're a good citizen, if you are a good whatever, if you obey by our rules, even though you might feel like, this isn't really the direction I'm feeling called to go,
which we should be listening to.
Then all of a sudden you've now given up your power, you've given up your truth, you've given up your wisdom, you've given up your light to a certain degree, and put that over there on a shelf in behind you, and you've now leaned into this person, what they're dangling in front of you to say, this is the way. Guys, there is no the way, there is your way. There is your way. And we're at a time right now, this is the juncture, this is the crossroads. We are at a time right now where each of us, each individual person needs to come to their own truth, come to their own center, let go of all the BS, let go of the belief systems that do not serve them, and come back to the self and come back to connection to source and really start to listen. What is my truth? What allows me to elevate? What feels good for me? What moves me forward? What allows me to expand? What allows me to create heaven on earth? Not these false gods and these false powers and these dangling carrots all around, because they will always come with a consequence. They will always come with a great fall. It's like reaching for something and you fall. Oh, I'm going to reach for this.
Always a fall. It must be a fall.
Because you're putting something in front of you that's outside of you to believe in, that person knows more, this thing knows more, this has more power, this thing has more power than my own immune system. What?
Wow.
The system over here has more power than what I know to believe to be true. This thing over here, I have to pay my dues and I have to do that because they say so. But inside you're like, that has never
right.
been, that
never
is not
sat
right.
It just never sat right.
And you know inside of
that
your
is.
being. This is the time to fine tune back into that.
Yep. And this is huge because bringing it back, I don't know, today must be religious day for me or something because I'm talking a whole bunch of stuff from there, but here we go, right?
It's within the consciousness.
It boils down to this, right? And examine this for yourself. Don't just believe what I'm saying, but there's a statement out there. I am the Lord your God. You shall put no other gods before me. I am. The only person that can say I am is you as yourself. No one can say I am about you. That is you. I am, right? I am the Lord your God. I am.
And to be clear, that statement is not about something outside of you.
It's not exactly, that's what I'm saying. It's not outside of you, right? You shall have no other gods before me. So anyone who you let in take power over you and do all that stuff, you're calling them your God, man.
Where they're making
That's what you're
decisions for
doing.
you, the
Yeah.
system's making decisions for you,
Is-
whatever it is.
Yeah. Is that your God? No. When you create, you say, I am this, I am that. All your affirmations and everything are about you. Who's that about?
I can't
Right?
create for Gabriel.
She can't say I am for me. She can't. Right? So you got to pay attention to that. If you putting that outside yourself and saying, well, they could do this and falling into victim space about it, like if everything is taking control of you, you're doing that to yourself through your own power. That's what's happening. So can you rise up within yourself and just examine that? Forget all the things that you've been taught about all that.
Yeah.
Just feel where you naturally come from and how you proceed into the world, how you project your own experience and feel from there into the world. Right? That's what I want to say.
No, it's
I hope
powerful.
you guys
No,
get it.
it's so powerful.
Yeah.
Like I'm just feeling into what you're saying too, because and again, this is this pivotal moment.
Yeah.
And the first step to being open,
Yeah.
to trusting yourself again, to leaning back into your own power and your own wisdom and your own truth is by examining. Awareness is everything.
Yep.
Does this serve me? Is this elevating me? Is this bringing me to greater expansion and growth, or
Yes.
contraction and constriction?
Yep.
Is this leading me into freedom or fear? Is this leading me into, like I said, does this help me or hinder me? And as you look at the systems and the beliefs and the contents of yourself, your mind, your beliefs, your beingness, whatever you choose to believe in, does it serve you? Does it help you? Does it elevate you? And if ever the answer is no, then you have some room to grow.
And you could change those clothes, right?
Totally.
Like,
Yeah,
exactly.
you can change
it's like,
it.
It's like if you have a top that doesn't quite fit anymore, right? You could
You
change
take it off.
You take it off when you change it. So just like that, your beliefs, you choose them, and you can also unchoose them, right?
And
choose
you
something
accepted
else.
them at some point. Even some
Exactly.
people will say, yeah, but what if I took in that belief when I was a child? Either way, your consciousness accepted it.
Yep.
Until you get to the point where you're aware enough to watch
Yes.
that thought or belief and go, you know, I might have accepted it when I was 5. I do not accept that now.
Yeah.
I do
Yes.
not accept that. I do not agree. I do not consent. I do not. And that is your personal power. That is your
Yes.
power to choose.
Yes.
And when you say that for yourself, something really powerful actually starts to happen. Not false power, true power actually starts to happen.
Yes.
You start to clear and let go of those old belief systems. Your mind cracks open to a whole other world of possibility. You start to tune in to your higher self, your higher truth, your soul's wisdom and guidance, and you cannot deny that. When that starts flowing in, it is a rush, it is a wave, it will move you, it'll motivate you, it will move through you so powerfully that you would have to have the thunders of the universe to stop you, you know, like really, like
which are your thunders anyway, so you're
Exactly,
unstoppable,
right?
is what she's saying.
it's so powerful.
Yeah,
And one of
yes.
the most powerful things that
Yes.
I did as this raven, you know, comes
Yes,
down,
the
right? We're
raven
watching
comes
this
to give us the
raven,
message, right?
totally like
Yeah,
coming
yeah.
down from the sky, bringing its
Yes.
thunder.
Yeah.
One of the practices, you guys know we love giving practices. So one of the practices that I did years ago, remember we were living in Innisfil?
Depends on what the
And-
practice is. I can't remember. I just can't remember
Come on,
without
read
knowing
my
what the
mind.
practice
Read
is.
my mind.
Read her
Come on,
mind. Yes.
read my
Okay. Okay.
mind.
I got you.
Read
sis.
the
I
woman's
got you.
mind.
I got you. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we had we have a sofa that was one of the pull-out couches, and we decided to pull out the couch and
Yeah.
sleep in the living room because the fireplace was down there. It was
No,
winter and it was cold.
Yeah.
We were like, oh, let's just sleep by the fireplace, and the full moon was shining through the window.
Yes.
And I remember saying to Gabriel, I was like, you know, and I was saying this to Source too, I was communicating with higher self. This is before kids, so we had lots of time to like have these conversations.
Yeah.
And I said, I shared this with Gabriel afterwards. I said, you know, I just want to wake up and I want to feel happy.
I remember that. Yeah.
I don't want to have to go through X, Y, Z to
The
feel happy in the
process of becoming
process. And I have to do
happy,
this, and then I got to do this, and then I got to do this. I got to start my day with the meditation. Then I got to do yoga, and then I got to do my chanting, and then I got to eat well, and then I got to make sure I drink some water, and then I got to keep my mind straight. I just want to wake up and feel happy. Like I just want to wake up and feel happy. And so as I'm looking at the moon, Spirit says to me, "You're filled up, and you're overfilled."
Yeah.
And I said, "What do you mean?" And they said, you are filled up by so much information, things you've learned along the way, some which serves you, but much that doesn't.
Yeah.
And they said, you need to empty. And I said, okay, great. I'm open to that. So what would you have me do? And they said, you need to start every morning for the next 30 days and say, I release and I let go of all I know.
Mm.
And so I started doing that. And I think I carried it out for like 6 months. I woke up in the morning, and I did this before I went to bed. I release and I let go of all I know. Now, to the ego mind, that scared the crap out of it, because what does that mean? I'm going to let go of everything I know. What am I going to become?
Your survival skills
right?
would
Like,
be zero,
I
right?
was going to be sitting there like an empty,
That's what the
empty
ego would
vessel,
think.
being like,
That's what the ego would think.
like
Yes,
total,
yes.
you know, right?
Yeah,
Like that's how it felt.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I felt that it was a necessary piece, because if I was filled up and I had all these false powers and false beliefs and false things that were given to me that I accepted, right? They are given, and we accept. This is the interesting thing to note. Just because somebody says something doesn't mean you have to accept it. Just because somebody says something's good for you doesn't mean you have to accept it, especially when it goes against your inner truth, your gut feeling, your intuitive knowing, right? But many times stuff is given, information is given, especially when it's mainstream, stuff is given, and people go, oh, I'll gobble it all up. I'm just going to eat it. I accept. So this is where you are not victim.
Yes.
You chose it. It was given and you said yes. So now what do? You say, I choose not that now.
Yeah.
And then you start to let go. So take on that practice if that resonates with you. And it's very simple. It's just using your own mind, your own consciousness to say, I release and I let go of all I know. And then it's about trusting and knowing that whatever is to remain that serves you will remain to serve you.
Yes.
And the cool thing that starts to happen is your higher wisdom and knowledge, your truth, your power, your true power actually starts to emerge. And it actually starts to flow through you. And you cannot deny it. When you feel your own sense of soul self, you cannot deny that.
Yep.
Someone could come along and be like, I don't know, rainbows are all pink. You'll be like, you might see them as all pink, but I see with my eyes that this is what color I see.
And that's the difference there, as I spoke about earlier with the vicarious information, just taking on other people's beliefs, taking on other people's attitudes about life. The thing is, when you look at life and you have your own experiences, like you see a rainbow, like Tara says, for yourself, and someone tries to convince you that all rainbows are pink, no, you won't buy that, right? Because your experience tells you difference. And this is why we need to have more experiences for ourselves, right? Which comes from having that independent style of thinking, or that independence to think freely, to access new information, to look at new information from a different perspective than we did before, right? And that requires letting go of what you know, because everything you see will be colored by what you know. Right? The people who watch the news and know how bad the world is, right? They know everything about what they should be afraid of, right? And then they listen to some documentary or something like that. They're hearing, oh, these people don't know about this. They don't know the dangers of this. They don't know the dangers of that. And they're not seeing that if they would just tweak that a little bit, they might actually get something out of that could be useful for them right there, right then, and advance their journey, right? And that's the trap that people face right now because of things like the media and these different outlets that Tara's speaking about.
That are the so-called powers.
Yeah.
But again, they became that powerful because we let that happen.
Exactly.
We agreed to it. We said,
We did.
okay, that's true.
Yeah, you do your thing, man.
You're telling me that rainbows are pink? Oh, maybe they are. I think I've been wrong this whole time.
Yeah.
I think that rainbows, you know what? I've heard it from the media now at least 17 times. And you know what?
The only color that exists is pink. It's an illusion that I see all different colors.
Totally.
That's what they told me. So I'm wrong.
I'm wrong. And
All
everybody else
rainbows
over
are pink.
there, they're right.
Like, really?
You know what? They're right. I'm wrong. So all of a sudden what you've done now is you've taken someone else's belief and someone else's power. You've accepted it. You've received it. You've tried it on. You put it right in yourself. You deflated yourself. You negated yourself. And now you're making yourself wrong.
Yeah.
Talk about a powerless experience.
Yeah. But now that we
are in
carried
the
you,
state of power.
Now that we explored the level of the dumps that we're in together, right? How do we elevate ourselves from that?
Exactly
How do we elevate ourselves from that?
You start recognizing.
Step 1.
Let go of all you know.
Recognize that all that you think you know may not be all there is to know. Right? So be willing to open up. Be willing to just be a little open-minded, even if it's just a little. Just listen, right? Open up. Clear out, like Tara said. That's key. If you can clear out, you have space.
Yeah.
right? It's like your disks for your computer and stuff. If you fill it up all the way, can you put anything new on there?
Computer does not like
Not
that.
a new thing can go on there. The computer's crashing. And that's what's happening with some of us. We're crashing, right?
That's exactly it.
We got to clean that disk off and put new information and examine the information. See if it's useful. Is it going to run a program that I like? Is it going to make me feel good? Am I going to feel good in life? If I'm not feeling good in life, then my life itself will start to be meaningless to me. And it is important to me, so I better get the programs that I like on there, right? It's like when you're electing new games. Let's say you're a game player, you like games that you like. Nobody takes the lame games that they don't want. So that's the same thing.
And it's like the
Upload
clothes.
stuff that
It's like the
matters.
clothes analogy, right? Where you said, you try it on for a second. So try it on and be like, rainbows, are they all pink? Try it on, and you will know. Your gut, your being will tell you, oh yeah, maybe they are, or it's going to say, no, I actually see the different colors. So I'm going to take that piece of clothing off of me. Thanks so much for trying to tell me that. That might be your world. Maybe that's how you see it, and that's okay.
Awesome.
But you can have that over there.
Great perspective.
And I'm gonna stay within what my truth is.
Yes.
And when we each start to do that, you start to stand very powerfully. True power, not artificial power that can be taken away from you or used against you. True power. And true power can only actually come from you and Creator and your connection to that.
Yes. And thirdly, bringing it back to the center of your being, that I am presence, right? Just like Tara said, when you stand in that power, you stand in yourself, you're making a declaration on that spot for yourself about, number one, your respect and honor for yourself as the large being that you are. And when I say large, I obviously mean not large in terms of size, but large as in impactful, large as in connected to everything that is, right? You take a stand for that, and living in that and coming forth from that, there's nothing against you. There's nothing against you. There's just your understanding of yourself, your understanding of your concepts, your living of those concepts, your living of those beliefs. So you take on the ones that you want and you elect them carefully because they matter to you in your own life experience. Yeah.
So good. I love it.
Yeah.
Powerful conversation.
Okay. I think we nailed it.
I love it.
Yeah,
I think so.
yeah.
I was about to give you a high five.
I was same thing. I wanted to do it too. I felt the urge coming on.
I didn't want
okay,
to like
high
blow
five,
out
guys.
your eardrums.
We had to. We both had the urge to do a high five right then. Okay,
guys. So good. It was so good. But and if you guys want any further support with this, feel free to reach out to us. We also have an amazing workshop coming up on May 10th. It's in a pop-up group that we're doing called 5-Day Healing Workshop. So if you go onto Facebook and you search groups, 5-Day Healing Workshop with Tara Antler, KG. You will see the group there, and just come into the group. It's happening on May 10th. It's a pop-up group that we're doing. It's all about healing and transformation. It's quite timely because a lot of our clients and students and members within our community have said they're really moving through the ringer right now. So come and join us in the workshop. If you are listening to this and it's post May 10th, then pop on over to our group. We renamed it recently. It's now called Light Ascension Collective. And it's still the same. I believe if you search, facebook.com/groups /I Rise and Thrive, it will take you to the group.
It'll still show up there.
We changed the URL. So now it's actually facebook.com/groups/ Light Ascension Collective. All right. So join us over there. It's an amazing community. There's always daily content that we have. There's meditations. There's always a lot of beautiful support. And if you really are feeling called.
And there's us.
Yeah. And there's us. And our team. But if you really are feeling called to have some extra support during this time, please reach out. Don't just sit in that space of being like, now how do I figure this all out? Right. Start with the tools and the practices that we gave you today. If you want more support, pop on over to the Healing Challenge, the pop-up group that we're having, and come into the Light Ascension Collective. We'd love to see you there. All right. Have a great day.
Looking forward to seeing you there. Ciao.
Thank you so much for tuning in to the Rising Consciousness Show today. To join our Facebook group, all you need to do is go to www.facebook.com/groups/I Rise and Thrive.